I'm going to break down 14 essential lighting techniques that I have personally learned from lighting thousands of sets over the last 2 decades. Starting off with a personal favourite of mine, and this, for me, is what our era of cinematic lighting is based off. It's created by using side lighting or backlighting to have all the shadows in the frame pointing to the direction of the camera. This gives us more contrast and shape in our images, and if you are not already using it, my advice is start. This is the use of high contrast in lighting. Its name comes from the first part meaning light and the second part meaning dark. The aim here with this technique is to create as much separation between the dark parts and the light parts of the image, giving you that high contrast look and feel. This was made famous in all those classic black and white film noir movies, but we also do see it a lot in like thrillers and horrors. As this has a very dramatic feel, you're going to need a strong key light and total control over the ambient light in your location. Part of the fundamentals of lighting, fill light is exactly as it sounds in the name. You are filling in the shadows inside the frame. So when you add a key light or a main light to your shot, that will introduce shadows, and that is where we bring in a fill. The amount of fill you add into those shadows is very subjective, and you will hear cinematographers refer to this as ratio. This can get very technical, and you use a light meter to measure that ratio. A 2-to-1 ratio means that the key light is twice as bright as the fill light, and a 4-to-1 ratio would mean it is 4 times brighter than the fill light. Before we move on, my little tip here would be to use bounce light as a fill light, as I believe it looks much more natural. This one brings a subject to life. It's not about the brightness of the lighting fixture, because we are not actually trying to raise the exposure of anything with this lighting technique. It is more about the reflection in an eyeball, because there is something really unalive about a subject's portrait when they have no reflection in their eye. This though can be used as an advantage in reverse, and we often see in narrative movie work villains and bad guys without a reflection in their eye. A real pro tip here though is to use an eye light to make sure a really dark scene does not feel underexposed. Gobo is short for go between optics. This is where you place a stencil or cutout in between the glass element attached to a lighting fixture. I have seen these made out of metal, glass, and even made my own out of cardboard in the past, but be careful because they do get extremely hot. They are most used for adding fake window silhouettes onto the background of a shot, but we also see them adding texture to stuff or using them to block out lights in part of the frames where you do not want it. There are some really affordable options out there in today's market, way cheaper than it used to be, so if you're not doing this in your workflow, try and get your hands on one, as it can be really fun. This is a bit of a strange one when you actually break it down and think about it, because in the real world, through our eyes, we don't actually see any kind of blue moonlight, as our eyes will just adapt and expose to the surrounding environment. But through years and years of seeing this effect in movies and TV shows, we have simply just become to accept it. This is a great way to lift the ambience of nighttime frames. It can really help a nighttime shot from feeling underexposed. My advice here though is to go really soft and subtle with this and do not overdo it. If you do have an RGB light, here are some HSI settings to get some realistic looking moonlight. This is where we want our entire frame bright and evenly lit. Very minimal shadows, and it becomes very easy on the eye, which leads me to the type of projects we mostly see it on. Beauty, skincare, sitcoms, corporate work. The most common way to achieve this style of lighting is through multiple soft sources of light. In my experience, this one takes a little bit more budget, time and experience, but when you do nail this one and do it correctly, you do get amazing results. This is a super popular way to light modern cinematic images. It's one of my personal favourites, and we've seen it be used for years now by the likes of Roger Deakins and Greg Fraser. This is where we try and light the frame through the natural light of the location or setting. So we will push it through windows, use practicals in the frame. The main aim is that when the viewer sees the shot, they don't question that there is any artificial lighting happening at all. This can also be really fast in some scenarios, as you are normally adding lights to already existing lighting. So it can also be a great option for those smaller productions too. Most creators I've met over my couple decades in this career have all kind of had a bit of a penny drop moment with this style of lighting. At first, finding out how amazing you can make your frame look by taking away light feels a little bit unusual. The aim here is to use light absorbing cards and fabrics to take away light, introducing more shadow into our subjects and frames. This one works really great on exterior shoots, or if you're in a room with massive windows where you don't have control of the house lighting or blocking out those windows. When I'm mentoring other creators and filmmakers over in CineGuides, this is one of the most common ones that people struggle to truly get their head around and introduce into their own workflows. So my main advice here would be to just practice this one in your spare time. Ask a friend to come down and just do it as much as possible, because that is how you're going to get better. But if you are someone who wants to learn more about every single lighting technique we are discussing in this video, then I've just the place for you. CineGuides will be the top link in the description, and is where I go deeper into everything it takes to create cinematic images and personally mentor all members on a one-on-one basis. Practical lighting is where you place lights inside of your frame, but it is lights that belong inside of the world you're trying to build. So this would not be a filmmaking light that is going to look out of place. Some common examples would be lamps, chandeliers, 2 candles and fires, torches, 2 car headlights, phone and laptop screens. The list here is endless. The pro tip here though is to make sure that you have full control over your practicals. For example, if you are using a lamp, make sure that lamp is dimmable, or try and get your own specialized filmmaking bulb inside of that lamp. This one is just how it sounds. It is where you bounce your light off a surface or a material. Again, this is one of the most popular ways to create cinematic images. The advantages are that most of the time it creates a really natural, soft looking source of light. I like to describe this one as it picks up the environment of the room. It is super inexpensive, and every filmmaker should be doing this one in one way or another. This is my personal go-to. Ever since trying this tactic out on a shoot many years ago, I just can't get enough of it. This is where you combine bounce lighting and diffusion. The name book light comes from, if you view it from a bird's eye perspective, looking straight down, you will see the shape of an open book. But you can do this in any shape you like. I often use this style of lighting without sticking to the shape of a book, and I found that this produces some of the most natural, soft lighting in all the techniques mentioned today. It picks up the environment with that bounce light, but then right before it hits the subject, it just goes through that last layer of diffusion. A negative could be that you need a bit of space to create this kind of lighting, but whenever possible, you should definitely get this one into your workflow. Rembrandt lighting is named after a famous Dutch painter by the same name. It's where you place your key light just at the right degrees of an angle to create a triangle under your subject's eye, producing more depth and shape. It is not the most flattering light like some of the other options in the high key world, but it's a great middle ground. When mixed with some nice fill light, you can get kind of like not too dramatic but still looking really cinematic. This one is also known as paramount lighting, and it is a style of portrait lighting. The name butterfly comes from the shape that appears underneath the nose of the subject. This is very flattering on a subject and is used an awful lot on beauty, modeling, fashion shoots. This pronounces cheekbones and jawlines while also minimizing blemishes and wrinkles. It is achieved by putting the light directly in front of the subject and just slightly above them. This can be achieved via really minimal gear also, as you only need one key light for your subject. Fill is an option here, just do that if you feel it needs a bit. Where I like to use this style of lighting is if I really want my subject to pop from the background. Let me know below if there is any styles of lighting that I've missed off this list so we can add them for everyone to see. And if you enjoyed this video, then this one right here is the same but just about mistakes.